All right, so we will get started. And this is kind of a cool picture. This is actually, I think this, yeah, this isn't what my background is. My background's similar, but a little bit different. This is kind of the colors that I was having come through for Inner Earth. When I channeled, when we were in the Vegas gridwork, it came through as more like, I don't know, red burgundy, maybe because we're in Vegas. And it's interesting, we've channeled, there's a slide on here where I'll list out kind of the actual channeling that we've done for Inner Earth specifically and how it's come through. And there's always there's a different frequency that comes through depending on where you're at. So I found that really interesting as the months have kind of ticked by and they've come through in different ways. Okay, so this is a picture of us at Four Corners. I know Erica can't see it, but it's her back. So this is Mesa Verde. In the bottom right, you'll see it here. A lot of Inner Earth frequencies came through while we were out there. This is a national park connected to, I think it's the Hopi. Don't quote me on that, but huge national park. You could literally drive around this place all day and cover just like a portion of this national park. And like I said before, the Triad frequency, they came in together with the Crystalline Lemuria, Crystalline Golden Atlantis. Intuitively, I was just feeling that there was there was like a perfect third or a trifecta. And eventually I was able to get the Inner Earth council that came through. So they are here in this current incarnation, here in this current timeline. And I think there is definitely different civilizations, different factions. Harmonize the words if that doesn't sound, different tribes, different families, if it doesn't feel most aligned. And then I put on here too, they were able to survive the different resets. Depending on who you channel or who you listen to, we are on the fifth version. Some people will say 3, 5. I've heard up to 7. So just kind of use your discernment on that. And then I put them here as the wisdom keepers, like Aurora was sharing, the watchers. I too have found that space that you were talking about, Aurora, filled with the crystals, and seen not only like the planetary Akash within Mama Gaia or Mother Earth, but also seen very large, humongous spaces and caverns powered by that crystalline frequency. So I really like this picture too. It gives you kind of an idea of just the vastness of the area that we were visiting. Really cool Inner Earth frequency. Welcome in, Melissa. Just sharing with them the Triad frequency and connecting Inner Earth with Crystalline Lemuria, Crystalline Golden Atlantis. This is when we were out there in June. It was hot, man. Melissa, Erica could tell you, dude, it was hot. When we were out there, it was a hot day. Like, everybody's wearing their hats and seeking shade. So this is the slide I was telling you guys about some known contacts with the Inner Earth. So this is mostly channeled, starting all the way back in the Four Corners when we were channeling, probably like May, like a month out from our meetup. Started getting connected to the Indigenous Grandmothers, the healed Indigenous councils of that area, connecting into the Inner Earth as well through those councils. And they came in that order: Indigenous Grandmothers, healed Indigenous councils, the spirit animals, and then from the spirit animals and those councils connecting into the Inner Earth. Specifically when we were channeling, I'm just going back, sending my awareness back. It was like 3 masculine frequencies and then a feminine frequency. 2 feminine frequencies. The masculine frequencies did not want us to view them. When we were channeling them, it was again, it may have been just the first time that we were connecting, so it wasn't super clear, but they were, to me, it felt like they were pretty adamant about not wanting the women to be viewed. And again, we're focusing on this channel on the Four Corners region. So the Four Corners region, as far as the indigenous councils, are Ute, Hopi, and Navajo. I'm sure there are others, but those are like the three main ones. And if you're listening to this playback from elsewhere, not in the U.S., the Four Corners region is where 4 states in the U.S. meet up together. It's Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and then Arizona. Yeah, that's right, Arizona. Yellowstone, when we went up to Yellowstone, this was basically in July, started doing some more channeling again, and we're able to connect once again into the inner earth frequencies there. Different vibe, looked a little bit different, similar but different. And we connected to the indigenous councils that were there too on our calls. Much more friendlier this time. Noticing that some of them wore masks to like hide their face, and they just felt shorter in stature for whatever reason. That was something that I remember from our channeling. We had a call where we basically channeled into a time temple, like this was like a planetary location, so on planet Earth. And while we were in that time temple, we connected to a different inner earth representative, just one. It wasn't a council or anything, one person. Masculine, actually androgynous. I wanted to say masculine, but I got a correction. Androgynous. Pale skin, tall, tattoos, blue eyes, blonde platinum hair. And we, through that representative and in the time temple, we connected into Antarctica, and then we didn't do a whole lot of channeling, but definitely they had some ties beyond the ice wall. This isn't like an Antarctic or beyond the ice wall call, but I found it very, very interesting. Salt Lake City, we had a call. We actually had a couple channeling sessions specifically for Inner Earth here, and part of that was building a 13 stacked honeycomb into a vertical pillar, assembling it into a pillar, and then descending that down into Inner Earth. Almost like an elevator in a way, too. And then we had like a couple different things that happened on that specific mission. And then most recently contacted out in Vegas when we were doing some channeling. And we connected to the Inner Earth Council there. Also establishing a focal point within like the local field office to connect to the representative for the etheric city that's above Vegas. So kind of like another perfect third in a way, just connecting not only like the city, the local field office, the Inner Earth Council, and then the council or the representative for the etheric city located above. This is another photo from Mesa, Verde. And I can bring it up and we can zoom, but this is like the main this is like one of the main attractions there. And again, I've only been there once. I feel like Melissa intuitively may have been there, so maybe she can speak a little bit on it. But it's just
I was there.
yeah. It's carved into the cliffs, the dwellings, and this is just one of the main ones that you can actually go down into and like see and walk around, and it's huge. You know, it's just giving off. Melissa, maybe you can talk about it, like if you felt any like Inner Earth vibes while you were there, or like healed indigenous councils, or.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think I was as tapped in at that time as I am now. But very, very powerful earth energies there and in Chaco Canyon for sure. Sorry,
Yeah,
I can't be more
absolutely.
helpful.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's nice to have confirmation. Like, we can cross-confirm one another. It isn't just, like, me walking around. I mean, we were there with a group of, like, I think there was 8 of us total. Vincent did a lot more driving than our crew did. He was all over that place, gridding and connecting into the land in different ways. We had a couple like ceremonies that we did while we were out there, a lot of like grid work, a lot of working with the land, connecting to the grids. So the Inner Earth Council, I always find it very interesting, the timing. So for me, timing is like a thing, right? Not necessarily linear time, but these pictures are from June of 2024. We're having a call in the now moment. It is the 5th of January. Yeah, 5th of January 2025. So there is a pretty significant span of time, like 6 months in between when we first got connected into the Inner Earth Councils there, and then the now moment. And
wait, Glenn, can I pause you really quick?
Yeah,
it's
go for it.
Code.
Go.
You just referenced 2024 and us being in 2025 right now. And so there's like some sort of key code there with time, because we're talking about time and you're just like referencing 24 when we were in 25 and referencing 25 when we were in 26. So I don't know. I just had to share that key code.
No, that is good. That is good. Let me just channel real quick. There is something too about the sands of time. So this has come up on a couple calls. The shifting sands of time. Standing. They're showing me like anchored, and then the shifting sands of time. They've come through as like pink sands, maroon sands, red sands. What are they showing me? This is like, it's not a color that I've seen before. It's in between violet and light blue. I don't know what that color is. You guys tell me. Write it in the chat down below, or key in if you got something.
It's like periwinkle.
Yeah, there you go. I knew it. Yeah, thank you for bringing that forward. I think now the reason why, and I put some bullet points up here, the earth grids are ready or more prepared, more aligned, harmonized. The collective frequency of remembrance, we're much further as a collective down, like we're 6 months basically down the path from where we were previously, going on 7. And then the third bullet point, not quite there yet, but I think that's something that we're seeing, all the stuff that's happening in the world, very, very tumultuous times. This is the last little bit that we're just burning through when it comes to planetary versus like local country governance. They come through as a council of elders, a circle, and not really in the frequency of those of us who are like much more on I guess would be above them. And then I put first contact. So there was something about first contact that was coming through, because everybody keeps talking about first contact in 27. We're channeling like roughly middle to end of 26. I just thought it was very unique that I just wanted to include that. Something just felt pertinent about the contact that we've established and we're getting much more conscious with. I'm sure we've been subconsciously, unconsciously connecting. This is about Crystalline Lemuria specifically here, and I really like the pictures that were channeled through. Very divine feminine frequency, as opposed to like the Crystalline Atlantis, which is like masculine. Not that we're gonna focus so much on polarity. Very heart-led, very connected to the land and to the water. You can read there, knowledge transmitted through song, body, presence. The elders and the grandmothers as the memory keepers. And then the crystalline technology, the connection to like the crystals, specifically for Crystalline Lemuria. This picture, I liked this picture, and if you just want to look at the pictures and not even listen to me, like you'll get the codes that I was trying to like bring through, or that were coming through me rather. Yeah, Lemuria didn't disappear, and we'll talk about this with Atlantis too. Like the memories were kept. it was preserved, it was archived in a way into the grids, into the memory field, into those who remain in the inner earth. And I talk about the indigenous grandmothers, very connected, classic Lemurian signatures. In this slide, we'll talk about kind of just a quick overview for the crystalline golden Atlantis. Many of us here, and maybe you're listening, are connected to not only Lemuria, but also Atlantis. There's still a lot of Atlantean remembrance happening in the now moment. Also connected to Egypt in a lot of different ways too. The Red Sea has a lot of Atlantis remembrance in it. Some of the key qualities like advanced metaphysical technology, geometry, architecture, energetic systems. Yeah, they were really, and it's interesting too because as the years have progressed all the way back from when Dolores Cannon was like channeling about Atlantis, if you think like basically mid to late 80s into the 90s, and then we're now like roughly, I guess, like 30 years after that, how the frequency of remembrance has really come through, and how we're channeling and calling in like a much higher octave of the crystalline golden Atlantis, like expanding consciousness. We talked about before on the Atlantis call how there were some timelines where Atlantis didn't fall. And one thing I did want to mention that came through, and you guys can definitely highly encourage you to channel into this, was the Crystalline Codex specifically. This is channeled, brought through by a few different people. JJ Aluna talked about the Crystalline Codex that's connected to Alunya, like specifically Egypt, located underneath the Great Pyramid. And there, I guess that would be a connection to the shifting sands of time in a way too, yeah. If you haven't seen this photo, I don't know, you guys I think we brought this photo up before, but if you haven't seen this photo, this is, shout out to Lenny. She snapped this photo while we were in Egypt, and it looks like a mermaid. You can see like the tail, clearly see like the back, the sun codes up there, very, very, very like Atlantean frequency. Continuing on too, and we have Melissa here. This is the Atlantis call with JJ's community. Their connection to Inner Earth after the collapse of the timelines. Basically, the knowledge was preserved, held, kept. Yeah, and ensuring that this knowledge or this energy or this codex returns when the heart coherence comes back, when it's present. I mean, it's been back, but it's getting much more harmonized, much more present. A lot of us have gone through massive heart activations in the past year. So it felt pertinent to talk about that. The Inner Earth Council acts as harmonic integrators. I like the word, I didn't put it on the slide, but harmonisticians came through whenever I was wanting to talk about the Triad frequency. And then they exist as kind of like this central pillar, central channel, this connecting or the junction between these two lineages. And you can see here on the left, I'll let you kind of read through that or look through it. Heart, listening, organic flow, song, and presence. You have the Inner Earth as kind of like that central like mediation, discernment, stewardship, counsel, and the memory keepers, record holders. The record keepers came through too. I was feeling very strongly into that frequency. And then for the crystalline golden Atlantis, mind, design, precision, geometry, and light. Okay. I wanted to talk about, oh, Erica, yes, go ahead. Oh,
Hi, just really quick before I hop off.
yeah,
If
go
you
for
go
it.
back to the other slide, the one thing I want to add when you're thinking in terms of golden Atlantis is there actually was in the pure timelines there was focus on the heart because you couldn't have like the golden Christos Sophia frequencies without the heart. So just thinking of that, I think with the other thing that's coming through and what I've noticed upgrading in my field is the higher mind. So you think of like our heart as this like huge field and very connected, right? Our mind sometimes doesn't always keep up. And so this aspect of the higher mind being able to tune into those higher, pure heart centered frequencies. So, you have your higher heart and then you have the higher mind. So just wanting to include that to complement the mind there. Because I think it's an interesting thing that's been coming through, and I feel like it's important to note when you again consider Atlantis through like a very pure golden, like when those golden energies are flowing through, when things are in their pure heart intention. So, anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that through. I love that. Yeah, what was coming through too was the, as you were saying that, just like the higher, so we have the higher mind, the higher heart. And then, if you think about like inner earth, I think of it as like, sacral root. So maybe there was like something coming in that was connecting to that as well. I wanted to talk about, because I was like feeling into just the timeline itself, like why they activated specifically at the Four Corners. And for us, hey, there's Vincent. Welcome in, buddy. Good to see you, man. Yeah, why they activated for us at the Four Corners specifically. So the Four Corners was, at least for our community, was a giant conversion point for many of us in 2025. And I put on here threshold, the overlapping like grids themselves, the energetics, the councils. So I definitely wanted to mention that. And then when we started to channel together, that's why I kind of put this last little part here. You have that field of coherence that starts to build, right? And I think that's why, so we have the Lemurian remembrance, the Atlantean structuring, the embodiment of our community, so meeting one another in community, in person, so the actual embodiment frequency. And then we were embodying that shared decision making. So for that specific meetup, no one was like in charge. Like everybody was contributing equally. And I think all of those factors combined, and I'm sure many other ones that maybe we aren't conscious of in the now moment, help to bring through those first threads, filaments, connections, channeling, that allowed us to connect in like a very potent manner. And even within our community too, like we continue to weave this frequency of all of these many different things. Not only is the grids, our overlapping field of resonance, our actual coherence, our personal frequencies and our channels, and then coming together. Oops. I did want to give you some aligned action steps for working with the Inner Earth Councils. I like this picture here too. I think this may be the one that's actually the background that I share with you guys. So just some aligned action steps, because I always like to, when we were talking about the codexes too, I like to have a way to like some action steps. I'm like, here's how, if it feels aligned to you. And again, these are all suggestions. You can take the suggestions and you determine what is your actual practices. So again, these are suggestions. Use your own discernment. Highly encourage you to tap into your channel and weave some of these into, what feels most aligned for you. Of course, like field attunement, calibration, which we're doing some of that here. Getting into sacred space, calling in the inner earth councils. I put inner earth council of light, but there are many inner earth council like frequencies that you can align to. Give you some like words that you can say there, and then anchoring into the elements. The elementals are huge. I'm sure Vincent will key up later when we get to the. And if something comes through, feel free to like unmute and share as well too. You don't need to wait. Deeply connected into the land, to the grids, to the elemental kingdoms, all the kingdoms. These are some journal prompts, and I can put these into the chat for you, and you guys will have the slideshow. You'll have the slides, but this is a good way to also connect with the inner earth councils. So co-created inquiry rather than just like passive downloading. And I feel that's why we were able to really tap into the four corners, because not only were we really connected deeply into the land, into the grids, actively calling in that co-creation frequency, but we were meditating, doing breath work, performing ceremonies, engaging in different rituals. We've talked about the local field offices, and if you're not familiar with that frequency, I'll share that again here for those who are listening to the playback. So every major city, and probably more than that, but every major city has a local field office. This field office is there to assist you, starseeds, light workers, highly sensitive people, those who are able to see, and they may be able to assist you with like known access points within the grids, within the area that you're channeling or the area that you're going to. And they may also already have like established connections to these inner earth councils. Like we set up a connection in Vegas, so it'd be really easy to get tapped in if you were just to connect to them. Yeah, go ahead, Vincent. What you got, buddy?
Yeah, so like what comes through for me for that is that like these like city councils or whatever, like the local area land councils are, they were originally set up by the Devas, and the Deva kingdom comes in super heavy for these. And so like it's like when the Indians, Native Americans, I guess in America, they come into a new forest or whatever. They're basically, the way they would do it is like they would come in and they'd ask the land to be join them as they joined the land, and that's it's like they were communicating to a spirit that they didn't know was like the deva of it. Like your body has a deva, like your individual house has a deva itself that helps to like hold the presence of it. It holds it in physicality, even when you're not there, maintaining it in time. It's born in time and it will end in time. So they're holding its space within the time, and they are in charge of birth and death, basically. So that's something that we need to consider when we're like meeting with these councils, that like we introduce ourselves and we want to join with it, but allow it to join with us also. It's reciprocal or whatever. I guess that's the word that I get. So thank you. Continue on for sure, my brother, for sure.
Dude, that was awesome. Thank you for saying that. I don't know if it feels aligned to share, but we were connected into. I wanted to hear your input whenever it feels aligned about Mesa Verde specifically and what you and your wife are feeling out there, because we had a slide in the beginning where we were talking about like that area back in June when we were around the national park. There's a lot of inner earth frequencies within that park. So whenever that feels aligned for you. And that was a good point on the time too. We had mentioned earlier, specifically about time, where we started channeling, like, June of 24 into 25, or June of 25 rather, into the present day, which is January of 26, the 5th of January 26. So, almost 6 months have elapsed since we first started connecting to these councils. So it's taken me a while in order to be able to connect to these different councils. So don't be surprised, and just like Vincent was sharing, don't be surprised if there is a component of working with the councils, and even like building your own personal frequency and your resonance as well, connecting to these councils. I love this photo here too. Council-based gatherings, so mirroring their structure, and we kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but this is us at the Four Corners back in June, and we all just organized ourselves together. Nobody was really in charge, and I put there, whenever you're building any relationship with anybody, any frequency, any council, any person, part of it is showing up. So when you're wanting to establish a connection, because we're talking in these slides about how to work with the Inner Earth councils, building a connection over time, showing up. We were kind of modeling this too, the equal time sharing. We actually had a talking stick. I forget exactly what it was. Maybe it was like a crystal, and we were passing it around our circle when we had our opening ceremony that night. We also did an opening specifically together in like a mini clearing. So the empty center here is basically like leaving a space, energetically or physically, in them, for them to basically come into sacred space with you. We've talked about some of these themes, specifically guardianship, continuity, planetary remembrance, working with the land, and then inviting in aligned co-creation, even if it's symbolically, to hold the edge. When I was feeling into this, what I was feeling was like it could be, if you're working by yourself, it could be soul aspects. If you're working in collaboration, it could be those who you are channeling with. It could even be some of us as well too. This day at Four Corners was such a hot day too. Like, everybody's got their hats on, but it was like it was a hot day, a great day. Credit to Melissa, her photos here. Crystalline Gridwork, shout out to Melissa. Maybe you could tell us the vibes of what you're feeling while you're out there on the land for this one too. This is a picture of Vincent. He's got his hand on a tree that I had snapped of him while we were doing some gridding out at Mesa Verde. Crystalline Gridwork specifically allowing you to connect to the Inner Earth Council. And again, if you're not harmonized with the frequency of crystalline gridwork, use whatever word feels most aligned to you. Whether it's like actually building grids, building altars out and working with the elements themselves, doing grid activations. And it doesn't necessarily need to be earth grid activations. It could be the dragon lines, it could be the air grids, it could be the water grids. We all know that Inner Earth has like the primordial waters and even oceans within Inner Earth. It could be connection into the sun, the solar logos. There's an Inner Earth sun as well too. So just throwing out some ideas for you. Melissa, if you have anything to share about your...
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, sadly, that picture, thanks for including that. I love that picture so much. That was me drumming in Utah, not Utah, just north of Salt Lake City. That actually wasn't in Chaco Canyon, but still very much connecting with the land in a similar way. The energies at Chaco Canyon were so powerful. I don't know if you got to visit, if any of you got to visit the kivas there. Is that something that you guys included in your trip?
No, we didn't end up going to Chaco on our trip.
Oh, you went alone before the trip, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm dying to go back to Chaco Canyon. I had one of my first past life connections there with the Kivas and the spirits of the land. I was there doing plant medicine, and all I can say is I wasn't as tapped in then as I am now, but the spirits of the land in Chaco Canyon were way more powerful for me than even in Mesa Verde. It was really beautiful. I wish I had known about these inner earth councils then, but hey, next trip, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just had like a pic. We'll chat. There's a trip coming. Absolutely. And I echo the sentiment that you shared. I was much more connected, deeply connected to specifically Chaco Canyon. A lot of remembrance in there. A lot of like death and rebirth frequency. So Chaco Canyon is an area out in the New Mexico northwest, northern, I guess. Yeah, northwest New Mexico desert, built essentially by slaves, by an enslaved people, very connected to the earth, aligned in a lot of different ways. A lot of like death and rebirth frequency. Actually, the word today that came up was death portal. And again, nothing really to do with the slides per se, other than the fact that the inner earth councils are like there with the land. Because Kelly Kolodny is actually channeling her next key code that she's bringing through is the death key code.
I was just about to say that. That's so amazing. I can't wait for her to do the death light code.
Yeah, so I connected to, again, this is like 6, almost 7 months ago, the death portal that was there at Chaco Canyon. I drove through it, felt into the kivas, felt into a lot of the different frequencies that were there. So thanks for bringing that. Yeah, so continuing on, more ways to work and connect with the inner earth councils in the dream space. I think everybody is having a lot of dreams right now. And if you are having some pretty interesting dreams, feel free to leave us a comment or unmute and tell us about them. You can connect to the inner earth councils like in the dream space, basically. Setting an intention before you falling asleep is huge. I'm big on like being intentional before you kind of drift off to sleep. And we put in there like dream time or hypnagogic states. You can get into like gamma and theta in other ways, not while sleeping, but you can reach it in other ways too. Doing this this is just what came through. They said it. They said it's much easier to do together. So totally possible to get into all of these states completely solo, but the field that you build out together, and they're showing me like the grids, like what I'm seeing here. I'll put my hands like this so you can see. They're showing me like your auric field, right? Your auric field extends 6 to 12 feet out, depending on how you extend it. But like they're showing me the overlapping grids of our field, basically kind of co-activating. You can work with crystals, put them beneath your bed. I think a lot of us intuitively just sleep with crystals in our bed or on our pillows. Journaling before you fall asleep or when you wake up. And yeah, symbols, elders, temples, tunnels, blueprints. Yeah, and Vincent brought us through. This is often how long-term relationships with these beings or councils unfold. Slow, deep, and consistent. And that seems to be... I like this picture, by the way, too, because it's this spiral, right? So it's a spiral, like unraveling linear time. I just thought it was like a really cool picture. Acting as a bridge between the civilizations. So we talked about the stewardship, we talked about the wisdom keepers, we talked about the watchers in a way. This picture is really dope because I just picture it like being connected to Mama Gaia, to the earth, to the inner earth, and then like being birthed. We're at the end, 2025 just ended. There was a birthing, an energetic birthing in a way, and it just felt like there was something really connected to the weaving of these different frequencies. So talking about the different integrations here, facilitating meditation or workshops that explore these different timelines and templates, specifically crystalline and golden, but it doesn't have to be. Serving as a record keeper or voice harmonizer. Someone who helps to translate ancient memory or languages into the now moment. And then connecting to your soul aspects. So if you felt drawn to this call, definitely a possibility that you have timelines, inner earth, or parallel soul aspects. And I gave you a couple examples there. Multidimensional soul integration is great. QHHT, past life regressions. You can literally integrate through meditation, just purely setting an intention, even working with the elements, whether it's fire or water. I use water specifically, but and we're almost finished with the slides here, and then we can open it up and or hop into the meditation and just honoring the threshold. I thought this was really unique, and Erica had talked about this kind of at the beginning of our call too. The inner earth is protected, right? They've been there for long before we were incarnated here. You could even say hundreds of thousands of years if you want to kind of put like a linear time onto it, maybe even longer than that. It could be millions of years. And discernment is key. So not everyone has access to, believe it or not everyone has access to all timelines. And plenty of people will invoke timelines, will try and gain access to timelines, but not everybody has access to all of the timelines. And we could go further into that. So discernment, reverence for the land, reverence for the councils themselves, sacred co-creation. It's not like we are above anything, right? Don't necessarily like not putting them on a pedestal. Like we are there to co-create with one another, and then holding that field. We talked about that earlier. Clearing any distortions. Everything starts with us, as within, so without, as above, so below. And I know we say that fairly often, but like it's not just the words, right? It's like all of the things that we do, especially with Limitless Creators. Not only are we very intentional, but we continually work on our own personal fields and then weave those fields and those grids together. And then all of us are connected to planetary gridwork rather. Not gatekeeping, but holding the integrity of the crystalline bridge. And this is a picture I channeled of the crystalline bridge. Or one way to think about the crystalline bridge. A couple photos here, and we got one more slide, and then we'll be done. So these are a couple photos that I had channeled specifically. They were giving to me like lush green. We've talked about like lush green Africa, lush green Egypt before. This is like lush green inner earth, is what I was like kind of feeling into. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, would absolutely love to hear them. And then the last slide here is some codes Sharon had shared specifically about Golden Atlantis. And this is giving like a triad or trifecta or perfect thirds frequency if you're looking at the slide or the picture, and I can drop it into our Telegram and into the chat here. And then when I was on the reactivating Golden Atlantis call in my breakout room, this lady here, I don't know how to say her name, Amelia Bonavicchio. This picture is really interesting because we're talking about a triad frequency, a trifecta, or a perfect thirds. And in the breakout room, so this is 1219, right? So this has been a while in linear time since we've had this breakout room, the call with the JJ for reactivating Golden Atlantis. And if you can see here, she's talking about there's a couple triads or trifectas that are happening. There is the golden ray, the golden triangle, and then the golden trinity. I mean, the golden trinity itself is a trine, right? But that perfect third of the golden ray, the golden triangle, and the golden trinity. And then she was also talking about, and we had kind of keyed in on this earlier, the frequency of our chakras, right? So the third eye, the throat, and the heart is what she was channeling. We had just mentioned earlier specifically about the higher mind, the higher heart, and then I would say like the elevated root is what they said. Root or sacral. This is not higher, it said elevated root. I was like, okay, interesting. Another interesting thing on this picture that I'll share that came through is the, in the right middle here, voice activation. And it says song, so I can't quite make it out, but I got song of the light language or song of the secret language. So harmonics, higher harmonics, octaves, been a huge theme that's been weaving in the field. So yeah, that's it as far as the slides go. Would love to hear what is coming through for everybody, or what came through for you, or what would you like to share? I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, anybody have anything to share specifically for Inner Earth councils, anything that was like stirring, moving, coming up for them? Okay.
I'll just say something really quick. I don't have anything specifically about the Inner Earth Councils. It's a new concept for me, so I really appreciate you bringing this to my awareness because I'm out on the land quite a bit and I'll be interested to tap into this energy more. So thank you so much for this, Glenn. Thinking back again to like the Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde area, I was really tapping into the elementals there, like I don't know, they come to me as like the desert guardians, these little like bee-sized beings that just to me are the desert guardians. I connected with them, and I also connected with what I got to be like the stone keepers, or like the rock beings, or like the elements or beings of the rocks were really powerful in both of those areas. So I don't know, just food for thought in terms of the elementals in that area. That's what's coming up for me. I just wanted to mention those. Thank you so much for putting this together. Really powerful.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That's I'd love to hear. I know Vincent's deeply connected too. I mean, I think we're all connected. The stone elements, the elementals. I was thinking about the elementals too as I was drafting up that presentation. The elementals were coming through pretty loudly. I didn't put it on the slide, but the tree elementals, the tree keepers, they're wisdom keepers in a lot of different ways. They've been around for, depending on what your belief system is, there's a lot of like mountains where they're basically topped. It's perfectly square, so that's not how mountains are. And it looks like ancient trees. like a giant, massive tree the size of a mountain that was like cut down, completely flat. You can see the rings. It's all petrified now. It's still there. I'm sure we could find something on Google Earth, but yeah, specifically, I'll share. I don't think I really put it in the slide. I talked about it, but I'll share it again. It feels pertinent. The connection into the inner earth was made, at least for us back in June, it was made through the Indigenous Grandmothers to the Healed Indigenous Councils, through the spirit animals, and into the Inner Earth Council. That's kind of how it came in, as just kind of like a template, if that's something you want to fill into. I'm not saying, again, it's just a recommendation. I'm just saying this is how we got connected into the Inner Earth. And back on that slide that I had shared, where we've seen different and channeled into different iterations of them, it got easier over time to connect, because at first, even going into the Four Corners, as I first drove up to the Four Corners back in April of 2025, and I first ran into these Indigenous councils and then eventually Inner Earth, like Vincent was sharing, it's like you really have to be like intentional. Many of us are grid workers. We ask permission for the land. We work with the land regularly. But these connections, I had to build over time. Was not tapped into. I had no idea about Indigenous councils. I had zero idea about Middle Earth councils back when I had first started channeling them, and that was a relationship that we built as a community, as a together. It wasn't like something that it felt much more loud when we were out on the land, like actually on the land itself. And then Melissa and Vincent, I'm sure all of us that are listening to this, if you're in this community, you are a grid worker without a doubt. So you are connected to the land. But yeah, I just wanted to echo that sentiment, that it's something that, even though I've been working with the land since 2021 consciously as a grid worker, I never have been super connected to the Indigenous councils, to the spirit animals, or to the Inner Earth councils until last year. So thank you again. Christina said, I really enjoyed the slides and the photos today, transported me. I'm feeling the coolness of large stones, the breeze of standing out in the open, hair whipping around, and when I was seated in a cool dark space, sounds like maybe a cave or an adobe structure echoes. Southwest desert feeling, remembering powwows from childhood and traveling and posing for pics in front of countless boulders. Nice. Perfect.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
definitely. The rocks were very present in my journey to the Four Corners area. I came up from I went all the way to Colorado Springs and went from Garden of the Gods up to like Castle Rock in Colorado and Red Rocks, and then I made my trip through the mountains when my wife finally came, and we made our trip through the mountains, just connecting to the elements of the earth and just grounding, and we pulled in so much energy of like this, like it was very heart opening for me and my wife to be grounded, and we brought this energy when we got to Four Corners. It was like I was kind of shown that we were like, my wife and I were bringing in the grounding of Gaia herself to this, because we'd been a part of that, and we'd had many lifetimes throughout that whole area, like so many lifetime after lifetime, like living there and being a part of it. And then when we met with everybody else and we all got together, I could feel that we were grounding into Gaia herself, this pulling of energy from the galactic, of each one of us having a certain portion of like this little flame that we were igniting into the earth at the point of meeting again. And we had planned this meeting several lifetimes ago because we had spread across the world, but then we had come back to this point, and it's been like at the times of flooding. So like I think we all had gathered in this area about 7,000 years ago, prior to this, and we set up this meditation to bring in a harmonization of frequency, basically when we were to gather there to like re-establish the timeline. I know a lot of us have like Mayan timekeeper like ties for sure. So we were opening this like time lock basically by having us all in that area. We were the key that is like in its a slow opening key where we were, when we put that key together with all of us being in ceremony and in heart coherence when we were in ceremony, that we opened the gradual spinning of the key to open that like into our realm again of the frequency of love that we had attained before we come when we first came together the 6,000 or 7,000 years ago, like before a flood was going to happen. So we were kind of unlocking that, and now like it was like we worked with the council of the land and the Inner Earth Council to say that we were we were ready to move on to a different like beginning. So it was like the initial birth of like what our little group coherence was like bringing each one of us, putting the spark together to make the sun that we are grow into the earth with the help of the earth. So it was very galactic, but very earth and heart centered when we came in together with this. Like so we brought in this energy of harmonization, of joy, in our joy and dancing and revival of ourselves being together. It was complete revival of like the pureness of joy that we are ready to extend to the world, extending the love of that joy. And so we're like, that was like, it's like when the miner takes the first pickaxe and hits it into the earth and they hear a sound of like, oh, they know that they're going to strike gold. That was the sound that I kind of heard throughout that whole gathering that we had together. And I could feel everybody that we wasn't there, but who is part of us now and was part of us in the past and is part of us in the future. Because like what we're creating and what I left with was like a complete connection to Gaia, and she opened me up to the inner earth beings have a lot of Sasquatch energy, and I completely over this entire last summer harmonized myself to their energy, and I flow that out to everybody around me now. Yeah, bit of energy coming through there, a light language from the Sasquatch, apparently, who wanted to open up and bring us all into a little bit of joy, like filling our hearts with it. It reminded me of a meditation that I just did. It's an open eye meditation where you start with having your eyes open, but focusing on you bring in your eyes, focus far away, but then you start to bring in your peripheral vision. Every breath, you like breathe out as far and look as far as you can. You breathe in, and you get you can even look at the tip of your nose if you can see it, and try to focus on that. But allowing your peripheral vision to be whole, and allowing your mind to make the peripheral vision that it knows is there. And as you're doing that, you allow your hearing of everything to come in. When you're breathing out, you hear as far away, and then you bring your hearing back into yourself, and hearing your inner breath moving, and then you feel like you go through each one of your senses, like you feel the chair, but then you feel out and try to feel the energy of other people around you, and bring that in, all while you're holding the vision, the hearing, the breathing, and expanding and trying to be feel your entire body and your nervous system. It's pretty hard. I've done it a few times, and it's like I just feel the joy of the universe just pouring through me after I've done this, and it's just like I don't even know, time doesn't exist at that point, and you become so in the here and the now that it just it just overwhelms you with love. It's amazing. If you guys can, I might I'm probably I'll lead us through that at one point, but I'm not ready to do that right at the moment because I'm busy on Mondays. I have a lot to do. But so if we want to meet at some other time, I can bring us through that meditation or twice. Thank you. I appreciate every one of you, and brilliant, Glenn. I really appreciate you, bud. Thank you.
Can I say something after that share? Vincent, thank you for that share. That was really beautiful. Every time you bring through Sasquatch energy, my inner child gets so excited. I just love it so much. When you mentioned Garden of the Gods, it's funny. I used to live within walking distance of Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs. This was a long time ago, and I didn't even realize I was probably doing grid work back then and didn't even know it. Because I also used to be a really avid rock climber, so I've visited so many places with sacred rock beings that I wasn't even aware of. But what you said, Vincent, also made me think about another thing that resonated about Chaco Canyon is, I don't know, Glenn, correct me, but my understanding is it was a big area for pilgrimages. It was a big migration route. And so I have no doubt that a lot of us converge there to do specific things at certain times. And I also will say, when I was there connecting with these kivas, even though, so the past life remembrance I had was from a Mayan lifetime. And so I had done a pilgrimage to Chaco Canyon for some specific ceremony in this one specific kiva that I connected to that also felt like a Syrian portal, like a gateway. And I think there are a lot of galactic gateways there. So yeah, thank you, Vincent, for your shares and kind of jogging my memory for a lot of the remembrances that I had when I was there. Super beautiful. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you too. I appreciate that. And what has also come through for a while for me is the Mayan uh, everything that like we have in America is like we may have designated the Mayans as holding a like their temples and their things there, but what I get is that the entire Americas was a mystery school. So you would show an aptitude as a child, and they would send you off to be in the mystery school that your aptitude was. So maybe that was in southern, like Chile or in Peru, but like there would each one of the temples and like pyramids in like the Yucatan Peninsula, it's Mexico. Uh,
Maybe we lost Vincent, but like that, what he just said totally
that's where
resonates.
you would go. So
Yeah,
Totally resonates.
you cut out just a little bit at the end there, Vincent. You were saying once you go to the Yucatan pyramid, then it cut out.
yeah, and sorry.
Oh, you're okay. We can
Yes,
hear you now.
yeah. So the stuff up in North America here, like we're all like kivas in ground. They were like kind of where you connected to the inner earth. But like a lot of the other, as you progress down into Mexico, into the like Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, all the way into like South America itself, each one was like a very specific school that you would go, and they did the Mayans were very in tune with like the lifetimes that you lived, and you lived in that circular lifetime where you would come back and be like, so that's why they were very concerned with like how you did and what you did in your lifetime, just the way like the Navajo were like concerned with like you need to walk the beauty way, but all of their traditions of the Navajo were constant around by being in sweat lodges. They would build in-ground shelters where you were like you were becoming like the earth, the magma of the earth and things. So there was so much to this like that like even like before everybody like the last flood at 6 or 7 thousand years ago happened. The 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 Atlanteans were sending people in up and down in the Americas into the pyramids of Egypt. The whole world was the Atlantean mystery school, basically. The traditions that the Mayans continued were drawn a lot from that, and it was a lot of the Lemurian stuff came through to like kind of tie it together in heart coherence. But then like obviously we had like human ego took over, and we need to like that's what a lot of us were clearing, and that's why we had this meeting in the Four Corners area, was like to um, let go of the human ego, the detrimental aspects of it, like enmity and denigration. If you don't know what those two words mean, I'd suggest you look them up. They're pretty powerful as a human ego trait, and a lot of us hold those two things happening within our lives. And if we can let those go, it really lightens your heart and allow non-judgment to come through. So that's all I have right at the moment. Also, I got to get to work doing some stuff at home. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah, thank you both for your shares. Really appreciate that. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff came through there. I put the journal prompts into the chat if you'd like to copy those or keep those to kind of connect further with the Inner Earth Councils. A lot of, echoing everything that Vincent and Melissa had shared. And one of the things that came through was that, even if you weren't at the Four Corners with us, or we didn't even know each other at that time, there is only the now moment. So intuitively, when I was at the Four Corners back in June of last year, and we were sitting around the fire, many of the nights spent around the fire, either by myself or with groups of people. Like after everybody would go to sleep, I would basically stay up, had a fire going, and I would just look at the stars, because there's trillions of stars out there with very low light pollution. And I felt intuitively that others were there. I didn't know who the others were at that point. But I just wanted to share that with you, that the council that we have built here, the community in Limitless Creators, those who are weaving with us in community, and some of the members were weaving with us and they've since moved out of community, or they aren't currently in community with us. That moment is still the exact same moment as this moment. This moment in the now moment, where we're meeting up together and activating our remembrance, that moment back in June, that moment 6,000, 7,000 years prior. All of these moments are the same exact moment. Again, and what Vincent said too that hit me, and I wanted to kind of put an exclamation point on it, was that yes, very, very multidimensional, very, very galactic, but also very grounded into the earth, grounded into Mama Gaia, into Mother Earth, into Inner Earth as well. And that's where we get these kind of triad or trifecta frequencies, is we're talking about Crystalline Lemuria, Crystalline Golden Atlantis, the Inner Earth Councils. All of these are reflections of many different lives that we are having in the now moment. Many, if you think of it in the past, many lives that we've had, or if you think about it in the future, many lives that we are going to have. And that connection in gridworking, that connection to the land, weaving with these different councils, whether you're doing it in any of the different ways that I share with you, or whether you're remembering and activating your own remembrance and your own frequency of those three councils specifically, that remembrance frequency is very, very potent, very, very powerful, highly, highly just encourage you to continue to walk the path. And as we co-channel and co-activate with one another, and we ping off of one another, and we get more and more remembrance, and maybe 6-7 months ago we weren't as tapped in, and I'll put that in air quotes, as we are in the now moment, or we weren't as connected to the Indigenous councils, to the earth grids, to the Inner Earth councils. We are a limitless creator. There is nothing that prevents you from connecting and remembering all of these and integrating even all of these lessons, friends, family, grids. And that's part of why we get on these calls together. So I just want to say thank you so much for continuing to do the work and show up, continuing to support one another, continuing to grid and weave and remember. It's easy to say the words, not as easy to embody that and live that in the now moment. And I understand that at a very deep and intimate level. So I just want to offer you that words of encouragement to keep going, to keep doing all the things you're doing, because it's very, very powerful and it's needed.